Okay, so we're going to put the hard ground on the plate now. Just lay it down on your hot plate and let it warm up. Particularly if the plate's quite big, it will take some time to heat evenly. Really let it heat for enough time that the plate settles down flat on the hot plate, because as it warms right through the plate, it'll settle down flat. And you have real problems rolling the ground out if you don't do that. So if you've got a big plate and it's looking a bit warped when it's on the hot plate, just walk away for 20 minutes, half an hour, let it settle down and then roll the surface of the plate. This is quite a small plate, so that's not a problem with it. But so this is an electric hot plate, and I've got it set at the setting that I know works well for my grounds. You have to experiment with your own hot plate. I have to say, when I was a student and I didn't have a hot plate, I used to do this on my cooker with a baking tray, and it was quite difficult, but it is possible. So that's, you could have a go at that if you haven't got a hot plate. Okay, so the plate is heating up, and we're going to apply the wax ground to the surface. We're going to roll the ground on, and the roller isn't cleaned in between applications of ground, so I've actually got some ground on this roller already, which when I put it onto the plate is going to melt onto the plate. However, if I want to add some ground, this is what my ground looks like. It's a ball or a tablet, if you like, of a mixture of wax and asphaltum and grease, and it's hard to the touch. And what I do is I just take hold of the ball of ground and I just melt the ground onto the surface, and you can see how that melts immediately onto the metal surface. And then taking the roller, you're just evening it out. So when you're rolling it, it's quite hard to get it even. But the trick is if you roll it and just lightly lift the roller at the end of the roll, so it's almost a flicking up of the roller. It's a really useful thing to get familiar with. For example, if you were printing a lino and you're just finishing off the rolling of the lino, it's the same sort of thing. You want to lay the ground down, or the ink in the case of the lino. You want to lay that down and then just lift the roller away without leaving a mark of the roller. Now the other thing is, it's quite hot now, this plate. You can just hold it with a palette knife. I've got one there in my pocket, and then you just roll it and hold the plate with a palette knife if you're finding it too hot to pick off. You also need the palette knife to actually slide the plate off the hot plate, because it really is hot to the touch now. So just very carefully put it onto the palette knife and move it across onto a cool surface. There's just one more thing that you need to do before the plate's ready to draw, and that is to smoke the surface of the ground. Again, this isn't essential, but it's really useful because it makes the wax ground darker and easier for you to see what you're drawing. So I'm just going to pick up the plate using the pair of pliers, and I've just put a little piece of paper inside the grip of the pliers, just to keep the plate from being damaged on the edge. And then just leave that there whilst I get the tapers ready. So these are candle lighting tapers, and you've just got a bunch of tapers. I've got 8 or 9 of these tapers here, taped together. And I'm going to light the tapers. Okay, so this looks really scary and dangerous, but it's not that bad. Just pay attention to what's around. So you're going to hold the plate in one hand, and you're just going to let the top of the tapers, if you like, lick the ground, and be quite methodical about moving the tapers. So you move the tapers in a pattern across the plate, so that you know that you've dealt with the whole plate. And the trick is that you're trying to get a darkened surface, but that it stays shiny. If it goes matte, you've burnt the surface of the ground, and really you should take it off and start again. So I'm just checking just on this inside edge, it's just not quite as dark as it might be. Just checking by turning the plate to have a look at it. And just applying the tapers again. So it's really just the top of the flame licking the plate to get that nice dark surface. Okay, put that down carefully. I'm still keeping an eye on what I'm doing with the tapers. Put that down carefully. The safest way I find to put this out is literally to drop it on the floor and stand on it, making sure that it's really well out. Okay, so when that's cool, we can draw on the plate.